What are the top five attributes of a successful investor that you think are? And second unrelated question is that does your investment style changes when you have control over company versus you don't, you're just another stakeholder, and how that changes and how is that important for investment point of view?
Okay. Well, we'll see if we can get to five. But, well, I would say good traits or important traits for being a good investor. Number one, the single most important skill is patience. So I think the thing is that markets have kind of a way of deceiving us because, you know, when you turn on CNBC and you see all those flashing red and green lights and all that, it's inducing the brain to think that you need to act now and you need to act immediately, where nothing could be further from the truth. You know, Buffett always talks about having this punch card where in a lifetime you make 20 punches and each time you buy a stock, you punch it once. So in a lifetime, you'd make 20 investment decisions, which means that if you started investing at 20 and ended at 80, every 3 years on average, you'd make one investment. And that is very hard for most people to do. And so the more you can slow down your investing and the more patient you can be. So the issue is that the time scales over which companies go through change and such is very different from the time scales at which stock markets operate. And so you really have to not focus so much on the stock market and have a lot more focus on the nature of change in businesses and be willing to be in there for a while. And like I told you, for the compounding to work, you don't need to double your money every 3 months. Even if you double your money every 3 years or even every 5 years, that's plenty because, you know, it's just a matter of how many doubles you can get and such. So patience is the number one skill set. The second, I think, important skill would be that if you have run a business before, it's a huge advantage because of the whole interplay between investing and running a business, because it's very important to be able to understand how a CEO thinks and the factors that they are primarily focused on thinking about when they're running the business. And that's hard to get to with spreadsheets and so on. And I think another very important trait for successful investing is to stay within your circle of competence. So I think Buffett always says that it's not the size of the circle that matters, but knowing its boundaries, it's absolutely critical. And you know, Charlie Munger talks about that. He gives a couple of examples. One is he says that if in a small town you bought the McDonald's franchise, you bought the Ford dealership. Ford dealership, gas station not so good. And gas station we leave for the Patels, low-cost operations. Okay, and then you want the best Class A office building, and you want the best residential building, right? So if you got these 4 assets, and you don't need to own them completely, you could own 20% of each of them, right? So his perspective was that if in Peoria, Illinois, you own these 4 assets, and you just sat on them for your whole life, you would end up probably quite wealthy. And so if you think about it from a modern portfolio theory point of view, you would say, well, you're not diversified, everything's in one geography, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, but the odds I'd probably still work out. And in fact, he has a friend here in near Stanford, John Arriaga, who all he did was bought real estate within a mile of the Stanford campus. And, I think Arriaga is a billionaire. And so, what is Arriaga's circle of competence? It's this small. So the size of the circle is not relevant. Staying inside the circle is very fundamental. So I think circle of competence is a very important trait. Another important trait is margin of safety. So you buy things for well less than what they're worth. And then I think the final piece would be that, what Ben Graham says, that you're not buying a piece of paper, you're buying a fraction of a business. So if I were to think about investing in Google, for example, the question I should ask myself is, if my family had $1 trillion, would I be happy putting 410 billion? Is that what the market cap is right now? 410 billion, right? So if I had $1 trillion, would I be comfortable putting 410 billion into Google? And if the answer is no, then I shouldn't put $10 into Google, right? So the mindset, so many times when people say, what do you think of Apple? And they don't know the market cap of Apple. So my question is, why are you talking to me about Apple? You don't even know what the company is for sale for, So if you're going to invest, at a minimum, you got to know what the entire business is selling for, and would you be willing to put 50-60% of your total family assets, if you had that much, into that business? And if the answer is no, then don't go there, And I would have been willing to do that at Stewart Enterprises, at the pricing I was looking at and all that. In fact, what I would have done, I would have bought a whole bunch of the debt as well too, just to get total control over the situation. So, and then just sit on those cemeteries. That'd be fine. So, and your second question was?
If you have a control over a company versus not a control over a company,
right?
Should investors behave?
Yeah. So control is overrated. So people tend to think that when they have control, they can sprinkle pixie dust and things will be great. And quite frankly, I think that I don't think that's the case at all. I think that there are businesses like Amex or Coca-Cola or Google and so on, which are such high quality businesses that it's not so much the control issue; it's more an issue of did you enter at the right price and those sorts of things that matter a lot more. So,
Buffett talk about the passion about what you are doing, right? I think it's like Warren Buffett doesn't really care about money. He loves what he's doing, right? Okay, do you think that's what you are doing now? Do you love what you are doing, and do you think that's really, really important? Another thing is that, do you think sometimes this may become an obsession? Because from reading Snowball, I have the impression that investing become an obstacle of Warren Buffett's family life, right? How do you adjust that? Yeah.
Right. I mean, I would say that my take is that Buffett is a very aligned individual in the sense that he's absolutely pursuing what he loves to do. He would be bored out of his mind if you sent him fishing forever, or sent him golfing, or just asked him to do all these other things which he has no interest in doing. So I think that he loves the game of investing. He loves more than investing. He loves actually buying entire businesses. So he's absolutely aligned on that front. And the thing is, you can I think optimize on some variables. So if you look at a person like Gandhi, Gandhi's son became a male prostitute. Okay, and in fact Gandhi neglected his kids. So there could be an entire debate we could have on whether Gandhi had done the right thing or done the wrong thing. But that, so to some extent, I think the thing is that we are human, and it may well be that a person like Gandhi could not have optimized on both fronts. You have the same issue with Nelson Mandela, right? So if you look at Nelson Mandela's personal life, there's all kinds of issues going on with the spouse and so on. And in Buffett's personal life, you've had, in fact, I always tell my wife that Warren was given a mistress by his wife. And I tell my wife that so that she's aware that that's an option. And and so far she's not pulled the trigger on that option. But there's still time. And so my take is that I think there are many good traits about Warren Buffett that have nothing to do with investing. I actually admire the way he even raised his kids and so on. But I think that what we are probably best off doing when we look at these, kind of iconic figures is not focus on so much the kind of minutia, because you're going to find things in the closet that will make your skin crawl. But I think look at the bigger picture and say, what can we take from there that can be useful. So.
So